Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, inshallah, we are going to completely talk about the income and substitution effect. In the last class, we discussed how to derive the angle curve, which represents the relationship between the consumer income and the consumption, or the quantity demanded. And we had two cases. When the consumer income, when the product is normal, we said that when the consumer's income increases, the quantity demanded or the consumption increases. So there is a positive relationship between income and consumption in this case. So the angle curve had a positive slope, as you see, and sometimes when the product is inferior, it has a negative slope. It's a downward sloping. And now let's go to the price consumption curve. Let us assume that we have the following graph, which represents the budget line and indifference curve, and this is the original or equilibrium point, this point that maximizes the consumer benefits or the consumer's utility. The consumers achieve the consumer equilibrium. Okay? Now, the price is according to the given prices. The price of X equals so, the price of Y equals 1, and the total budget, the total income equals 30. Let us assume that the price of X goes down. As the price of X goes down, the quantity purchased of X will increase. So the budget line will shift to right, and the quantity of Y remains constant at the vertical axis here. So we have a new equilibrium point. As the price of X goes up, decreasing the price of X. As the price of X goes down, definitely the quantity of X goes up. The quantity demanded of X goes up. So here was the original purchase quantity of X. Let us assume it was 9 units X. Now, as the price of X goes down from 2 to 1, the quantity of X has increased to a new equilibrium, a new point. Let us assume it was, or it has become 13 units. Okay? If we connect these points, J and K, we will reach the price consumption curve. PCC, the price consumption curve. Sometimes it might be here. But the general theory says that the quantity consumed of X definitely will go up. Maybe there are no changes, or there is no change in the quantity purchased of Y. Sometimes we can say, or we can see, that the price PCC, like this here. This represents a new equilibrium point here. There is an increasing in the quantity purchase of X. So it might be positive slope, horizontal, or negative slope. The PCC might be downward slope, upward sloping, horizontal, or negative slope. In this case, or in all these three cases, the quantity purchase of X increased. At this point, when it is an upward sloping, the quantity of X has increased. When it was horizontal, we have a new equilibrium point, might be here, the quantity of X increase as well. Might be here. When it is downward sloping, we have a new equilibrium point, the quantity of X increases. So we have three shapes for the PCC. It might be positive slope, negative slope, or horizontal. Represents the it depends here, as you see, has a positive slope, upward sloping, and here you can see it a negative slope, with a negative slope or downward sloping. If we connect A, B, C, and D, we will reach to the demand curve. Because as much as the price goes down, price of X goes down, the quantity of X goes up once again, gradually. So we can derive the demand curve as you see in this graph. In the second graph, this is point A. At this price and this quantity demanded. At point B here, as the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. We can connect these points to reach the demand curve. Okay? Let's go to the income and substitution effect. Income and substitution effect. Is it clear here? تمام. Income and substitution effect. We have to distinguish between the normal and inferior goods. Normal goods. And here we have another analysis related to the inferior goods. The general theory says that as the price of X, according to our assumption here that X is a normal good, like a fresh meat. Here, normal good, according to our assumption, fresh meat. And the normal inferior goods, like frozen meat. Let's go here. As the price in general, as the price of X, the price of fresh meat goes up, the quantity demanded of X goes down. All right? This effect is called the substitution effect. هذا هيك اسمه substitution effect. Why? Because the consumer will try to substitute another product to the fresh meat. He will try to buy maybe frozen meat, fresh chicken maybe. Okay? This is the substitution effect. As the price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. The substitution effect here is negative. As the quantity of X goes down, so we can say the substitution effect is negative. Okay? Let's go to the income effect. As the price of X goes up, in general, the purchasing power of income goes down. Not the income. The real income, the purchasing power of income goes down. As the price of X goes up, the purchasing power of income goes down. Or the real income, we can call it real income. Not the nominal income. The nominal income remains constant. 1,000 shekel, 1,000 shekel. But the real income, the purchasing power of this income goes down because I can buy smaller quantities of X. Now, as the real income goes down, what will happen to the demand for fresh meat as a normal good goes down? Because actually there is a negative relationship between the income or real income and the demand for normal goods. So the demand or the quantity demanded for fresh meat goes down. This is the income effect. Sorry, the income effect. Yes. هذا بسموه هيك income effect. Is it negative or positive? Negative. So the total price effect for the total price effect equals substitution effect plus income effect. Substitution effect plus income effect. As the substitution effect is negative and the income effect is negative, the total price effect will be negative, definitely will be negative. So the total price effect will be negative plus negative equals negative. Let us assume that the substitution effect leads to a decrease in the quantity of X by -7. Let us assume that the substitution effect leads to a decline in the quantity of X by 7. And the decreasing in the purchasing power of income leads to a decreasing in the quantity of X, which means a decreasing in the real income or the income effect by 4 units. Income effect leads to a decrease in the quantity of X by 4 units. How much is the total effect or the total price effect? -11. So the total price effect equals -7 plus -4 equals -11. So in general, as we are talking about the normal goods and increasing the price of X, if the product is normal and the price of X goes up, definitely the substitution effect will be negative and income effect will be negative as well. Vice versa. If the product is normal, as the price is the good is normal and the price of X goes down, what will happen? Let us assume that the product is normal and the price of X goes down. In all cases, the quantity demanded of X goes up because there is the demand theory says that there is a negative relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So the substitution effect will be positive. It has a positive effect on the quantity purchased of X. Okay? Let's go to the income effect. As the price of X goes down and the product is normal, as the price goes down, the purchasing power of income or the real income goes up. We have more income, real income increases, so we have to pay or to buy more of the normal goods, more quantities of the normal goods. So the quantity of X increases, so the income effect will be positive. So the total price effect here, substitution effect plus income effect, positive plus positive. The final result will be increasing in the quantity purchase of X. Okay, so here this effect will be positive. The final result will be positive 11, as you see. Okay, what about the inferior gates? Let's analyze the effect of inferior gates. For the inferior goods, let us assume that we are talking about the frozen meat. Inferior good like the demand for frozen meat. Let us assume that the prices of frozen meat goes up. Increasing, we will analyze the substitution effect, or let us assume that the price of X goes up. And the price, this is X. The inferior good here is X. Okay? As the price of the frozen meat, the price of X goes up, what will happen to the quantity demanded of X goes down according to the theory. This leads to a decrease in the quantity demanded of X. This is the substitution effect, so it will be negative. Okay, so here's negative. This is the substitution effect. What about the income effect? As the price goes up, the real income or the purchasing power of income goes down. This leads to a decrease in the purchasing power of income. Or the real income goes down. What will happen as the consumer's income goes down? What will happen to the demand for inferior goods? No. When as the consumer income goes down, or the purchasing power of income goes down, the demand for inferior goods goes up. صح? According to the theory, as the purchasing power of income goes down, the demand for frozen meat increases. The demand for frozen chicken increases as well. So this leads to an increasing the quantity purchased of frozen meat. So here the effect is what? Positive. So the income effect here is positive. Income effect is positive. What about the total effect? The total price effect? What do you see? The substitution effect here is negative, right? And the income effect is positive as the price goes up. So the final result is what? Ambiguous. This depends on which has larger or greater effect, the substitution effect or the income effect. If here in this example we assume that the substitution effect was decreasing, the substitution effect negative, let us assume it was -7, and the income effect is positive for which has larger effect. The substitution effect has larger effect than income effect, so the final result will be the total price effect -7 plus 4 equals -3. As the substitution effect is bigger than the income effect, the total price effect will be negative, so the quantity purchase of X will go down. Okay? us assume that the substitution effect, or the decrease in the quantity purchased of X due to the substitution effect, was -5. And the income effect was +12. Which has larger effect? -5 plus 11, 12 equals +7. This means that the income effect is bigger than the substitution effect. In this case, the final result, the total price effect, will be positive. This means that there would be an increase in the quantity purchase of X. Okay? So here we can say that the substitution effect is less than the income effect. Okay? What about if the price of X as an inferior good goes down? Now, let us assume that the price of X as an inferior good goes down. Definitely, the quantity purchase of X will go up. So here the substitution effect will be positive. Okay? Now, as the price of X goes down, the purchasing power of income, or the real income, goes up. Actually, when the consumer's income goes up, the purchasing power of income, or the real income, goes up, the demand for inferior goods goes down. Yes. This is, so the income effect will be negative. So here the income effect will be negative. What about the final effect? It's ambiguous. The total price effect equals the substitution effect plus income. Here we have the substitution effect is positive and income effect is negative. Right? And you have to complete the analysis. The same as the previous case. Okay? Right. Let's go to the graph here. Okay, as you see in this schedule here, as the price of X rises, here for the normal goods, substitution effect, income effect, total effect. As we analyzed before, as when we talk about the normal goods, the demand for normal goods, like the demand for fresh meat, the substitution effect will be negative, income effect negative, so the total effect will be, the total price effect will be negative. As the price rises and the inferior good, the substitution effect positive, negative, positive, ambiguous. As the price of goods decline, the normal goods substitution effect positive, positive, positive. For the inferior good, positive, negative, ambiguous. Okay, this is the summary for the case here. Let's go to the graph here. We are gonna analyze the income and substitution effect for the normal goods. According to our assumption here, this is the original equilibrium point for the consumer. Okay? Now, let us assume that the price of X rises. As the price of X goes up. So, we have a new budget line for X, toward X. Inside a movement of the budget line from budget line 1 to budget line 2 toward X, as you see. So we have a new equilibrium point here. We have to move to a new equilibrium point with lower total benefits, with a lower indifference curve. Okay? From point F to point H here, QX1 to QX3, this is the total price effect. This is the total price effect. We have to determine the income effect and the substitution effect. How can we determine the substitution effect and income effect? We have to draw, as you see, a nominal budget line parallel parallel to the second budget line, as you see. We have to draw هذا وهمي. budget line وهمي. تمام. What do you see? We have this budget line is parallel to the budget line 2 and tangent this indifference curve, the original indifference curve. Okay? From F to G, along the same or the original indifference curve here, a movement from F to G, this is the substitution effect. Okay? What about the income effect? For the normal goods, as we mentioned, for the normal goods, increasing the price of X leads to decreasing the quantity of X, definitely. So the substitution effect is negative. Right? What about the income effect? As we mentioned that when we talk about the normal goods, for the normal goods, once again, increasing the price of X leads to a decrease in the purchasing power of income. Right? So the demand, the quantity demanded for the normal goods goes down as a normal good. So it will be negative as well. What do you see? As we mentioned, or as we said that, from F to G is a decreasing the quantity of X from QX1 to QX2 is the substitution effect. And the income effect is negative as well. We have additional decreasing in the quantity of X from X2 to X3. This is the income effect from G to H. So the total price effect becomes from a QX1 to QX3. This is the total effect, which is definitely negative. Okay? Once again, تمام. Let's go to something else. To determination of the substitution and income effect when the good is inferior. As we mentioned, here we're talking about an inferior good. For the inferior goods, in all cases, as the price goes up, the quantity demanded of X goes down, so the substitution effect will be negative. As the price of X goes up, we have a new budget line and a new equilibrium point. Let's check it here. We have a new equilibrium point, a movement from point F to point H. Okay? And this is the total price effect. From point F to H is the total price effect, which is the substitution effect plus total income or the income effect. Okay? What about the income effect? As the product is inferior, as the good is inferior, as the price of X goes up, the purchasing power of income goes down, so the quantity purchase of X will increase. Right? So here we have an increasing in the price and the quantity demanded of X. Right? So I expect to see a movement from X3 here to X back. To determine the income and substitution effect, we have to draw a nominal budget line tangent the original indifference curve. Where is it? Here. After QX3. This is the QX3 here. Where's the total substitution effect? Or sorry, the substitution effect. A movement from F to G. This is the substitution effect. So we have a decreasing the quantity purchased from QX1 to QX2. This is the substitution effect. Let us assume that QX was 7 units, okay, and the QX2 is 2 units. All right? Now, the income effect, this is the income effect, will be positive. So we have to move from QX2 to QX3. Let us assume it was 4 units. From 2 to 4, back here, is the income effect, as you see. Wow, how much is the total effect? How much is the total effect? The substitution effect equals -5. Let us calculate or determine the total price effect on this graph. Equals the substitution effect 7 minus 2 minus 5. Sorry, 2 minus 7 because there is a decreasing. Minus 5. Substitution effect equals -5 because it is a decreasing. Income effect is increasing, so it will be positive. Positive 2 equals -3. So the final effect, this is the total price effect, 7 minus 4, or 4 minus 7 here. It will be -3. This is the total price effect. Okay? I know it's difficult, but you have to understand it. It's easy. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the second part of the chapter 2, which is the social efficiency and equity issues. The country or the government will try to match between the efficiency to achieve the efficiency and equity in distribution of incomes. So let's go to the welfare economics and the Pareto efficiency. Pareto efficiency, we have the following terms. The Edgeworth box, an analytical device used to model the welfare economic theory. Pareto efficiency is an allocation of resources such that no person can make better off without making another person worse off. Pareto, and we have a Pareto improvement, which is a reallocation of resources that makes at least one person better off without making anyone else worse off. Okay? To understand the idea, we have two assumptions. In the community, we have 2 persons only. We have 2 products consumed. Okay? These two persons are Adam and Eva. Adam has, or we have 2 products, figs and apples. And these are the quantity consumed of apple, and on the vertical axis, the quantity consumed of figs. If Adam at V here, Adam can buy how many units of apples? X, and U units of figs. For Eva, opposite picture. She can buy or consume W units of figs and Y units of apple. وكأنه صندوق مقلوب. Okay? طيب. see here, these are the indifference curves for Adam. This is the indifference curve 1 for Adam, indifference curve 2, 3. A movement from A1 to A2 to A3, this means that the Adam situation, no, it's not the budget line. The total benefits, the total utility that obtained for Adam becomes better. He becomes better off. مظبوط؟ صح؟ A movement, he's better off. But Eva becomes worse off. Here's the indifference curve for Eva. As you see, this is the Eva indifference curve 1. A movement here. This means that Eva becomes better off. Right? Now, how can we make Adam's better off without making Eva worse off under the limited resources in the community? This is the major question. Beginning at point G here, let us assume that we work under point G. G, Adam consumed at or along AG. Right? For Eva, the indifference curve is the red line here. This is for Eva. Any point lies along the AG here for Adam gives the same total utility. Any point for Eva here gives her the same total utility. The major question here is, how can we make Adam's better off without Eva becoming worse off? We can, as you see here, we can move Adam here from indifference curve 1 to indifference curve 2 or 3. Or 3. We can move Adam from indifference curve 1 to 2 to 3. His situation actually improved. For Eva, it doesn't matter for her to consume at G or H or P. The same. Any point lies along Eva indifference curve gives her the same total utility. Alright? So in this case, we made Adam better off without what? Eva becoming worse off. Because she benefits the same total utility without affecting her consumption or her benefits. What about? So this point is called a Pareto efficient allocation. Yes, it's better for Adam without making Eva worse off. Improvement in allocation. This point is better than this point. Which is better, G or P? P is better because it's good, it's better for Adam, and the same as for Eva. Okay? Something else. Let us assume that we are at point G here. How can we make Eva better off? Here we are at G. How can we make Eva better off and Adam's becoming without and negatively affecting the Adam, without making Adam's worse off? We can move from indifference curve AG to AP1 here, and for Adam, the same. It doesn't matter for him to consume at point G or P1. The same. But for Eva, she becomes better off. A movement. So P1 is better than G, this is a Pareto efficient allocation. How can we make both better off without affecting the community? Let us assume that we are at point G. Here we are at point G. G, Adam gets the total utility at AG. And Ava gets total benefits at AG. Alright? According to the, or on the indifference curve. Now we tend to make both better off. How can we do it? We can move the indifference curve for Ava here, and we can move Adam's indifference curve, right? This is the efficient point. بسموها هذا Pareto improvement. Pareto efficiency or Pareto improvement. Because in this case, we made Adam and Eva better off. Okay? يعطيكم العافية.